You are listening to It Came from the Radio, and I'm here with Meriem Sakrouhi. She made an incredible 8.5 minute documentary story of crushing loss and the need for connection in a digitally isolating world, which is how it's listed in the press release. And we're going to talk about it, and we'll see. Is this world really crushing us? Do we need more connection? I say yes. So, Miriam, welcome to the show. Thank you for sharing your work with us. And
Thank
yeah, well, first of all, I would just ask, could you just sum up for the listeners, what exactly is this about so they can picture it while listening?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me. Mon Taxi is, I would say it in a very summarized way, is about continuing the conversation with my father. So it's a short documentary where I call my dad, which used to be my ritual. I would call him all the time. Call my dad and just tell him, what's happening.
Right. Um, so here's my perspective. So I watched this in the sauna last night. I'm from New York, and New York has changed a bit. I was born in '84. I used to go in the city in the '90s, and in early '90s, late '80s, it was very relaxing. Now it's a lot crazier. So what I saw, from what I remember in my sauna haze, was mostly 8.5 minutes. I'd say most of it was B-roll shots, landscape shots of New York City, and then it's phone calls to your father because she would start she would start the day calling her father whenever she was going on an outing. From the time she left until she got to the place, she would talk to her dad. But then her dad passed away, and that's basically what this documentary is. It's phone calls, and she's saying, "Hi, hello, this is what I'm doing." But we never hear the dad respond because he died. So I would say now, with that in mind, what do you think your dad would say about this film?
About the film, I think I think he would probably be proud that I've shared the story. My dad used to tell me we spent a lot of time, Dad and I, kind of arguing about me staying in the US versus me coming back to Morocco. And for a long time, those phone calls would, at some point, he would bring it up. And I would tell him, I finally convinced him, saying, Dad, I think that I feel freer here and I feel like I'm going to have more impact, or I can still have impact from the US, like about Morocco and about, the Reef, which is the indigenous area he's from. I think he would feel very proud that I put that in on screen, and that I shared kind of like not only our relationship, but also our culture and like the indigenous part of his identity in this film.
Mhm. So what we see most of this is, I would say, mostly B-roll shots, right? And then we have subtitles basically going along with it. So, I've produced some films and acted in films, and it is such a pain learning the dialogue as an actor or getting your actors to learn the dialogue, and you got to shoot things, and it could take forever. I mean, one film took 3 years just because dialogue and getting everyone in the same place. But when you have all these shots and then you have the subtitles, things go a lot faster. You don't have to worry about lines and actors. So how long did it take to actually make from start to finish storyboard writing, post-production, coloring, all of that, this whole film?
Yes, you're absolutely right about the way you set up the question. I think that my film isn't done in a conventional way in terms of I didn't really plan it. It started with me wanting to call my dad and forgetting that he had passed and being like, oh shoot, you know what? Let me just like record a voice note instead, and starting to do that for a year and a half. I still do that, but the time for my film was around a year and a half. And then having this huge repertoire of all the voice notes and kind of like working backwards from that, like getting all of them, listening to them, seeing the ones that actually, the sound was good enough to be on a film. Because I didn't want to, I tried to re-record them once I decided to, to share the film. But it just kind of like lost the layer of authenticity that the original raw ones were, even though like even when I transcribed it and repeated the same thing, but like with a mic, it just did not sound the same. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm only using the original voicemails I recorded while I was walking. and talking to him. So he was like going through that, selecting, doing a short list, transcribing all of them, and then see what makes sense with the footage I had shot, because I also was doing the same thing. I was shooting footage that actually meant something to me in my relationship with my dad. So when it's in New York, my dad had cancer and he came to live with me and was his caregiver for almost 2 years. So we would walk. We loved walking, so we would walk a lot of times, and I would go back and like shoot B-roll on the places we walked in the corner where we were telling each other a story. So a lot of the footage actually also meant something to me, and other footage was actually things I wanted to share with him, which I also used to do. I used to take photos and like share them on WhatsApp. So then it was not very conventional because I had all this footage and all this audio, and then it was like sitting down and like pairing them up rather than starting with a storyboard. So to answer your question, in total, it was about a year and a half.
Year and a half. So, coincidentally or not, I was thinking a lot about a lot of these subjects raised. My mom has leukemia, my dad has issues from having cancer, and it's a lot of, I guess, pre-grieving or worry. And I was listening to a lot of NDEs or near-death experience, and they talk about path of life, the meaning of life, and some of these people even claim to get messages from the beyond. So I know this is a similar question, but let's just say, he's out here watching your work and maybe even watching this interview. Is there anything you think he would say or has said about this film or life in general? Just anything that maybe, second thoughts or views on life from the beyond.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear. That really sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I hope they'll be okay, but also sending you a lot of strength.
thank
Um,
you.
yeah, of course. And then, so my dad was a great listener as well. I think anything we'll say, it would be, I think it would be very supportive. Um, and a lot of people, when they meet me, they tell me that I give away a lot of confidence. I think that that came from him because when I was little, he kind of like was, I have two siblings. Him and my mom would raise us telling us that, we can achieve whatever we want to achieve eventually. Um, so I think it would go along that way. It was also, we are a very like, our love language is a lot of physical touch, like a lot of North African families. So
Mm,
more than talking, it would be a lot of like patting me in the back, giving me a hug or something like that. Yeah, about the film.
interesting. So I think about this a lot. I ask this question a lot for anyone who listens to my interviews, but I still want to know from everybody, making a film takes a lot of time. It can include a lot of isolation, there's a lot of planning. I had two short films that took over like a year and a half of my life recently. So, one, what makes it worth it? And then two, what are some sacrifices that you have to make because there's 24 hours in a day, so you can't do everything. What are some things that you've had to put aside to do this film or films in general?
Yeah, well, congrats on your two shorts. I'd love to see them. Um, I think sometimes, a lot of times actually, not sometimes, I would be like, oh, I wish there were more than 24 hours in a day. I
Yep.
was like that. I was like that actually since I was a kid. I actually remember telling my dad that, oh my God, like I wish there was 36 hours in a day because I don't feel like I have enough hours. I still feel
Hmm.
that way. Yeah, I still feel that way. For me, to be honest, like it depends on the film. For this film, it was again, it wasn't conventional because I feel like I needed this film. Like it actually it's been really healing for me to make it. And when I was making it, I didn't intend for it to be a film that I was going to share with people at first.
Ah,
Um, and only when I had already had a draft cut of the film is when I decided that I'm going to share it. And it was prompted by someone I met at a film festival last year and told and like insisted when I told them what I'm working on. I was like, but this is so very personal. I'm not sharing this. They like
mhm.
we had a really good conversation and they insisted that that's the kind of work people want to see and like people might relate to it. In hindsight, like I'm really happy to have shared it. And to answer the part where you say like what makes it worth it, like being in the room and seeing it play with the audience and see how the audience was reacting to the film and like feeling that energy in the room and just receiving all the either people coming to me afterwards to talk to me in person or receiving messages later or
Hmm.
DM tell me that they really related or they would like share their stories or what they're going through. Really made it made it worth it because I was feeling very nervous about sharing such a vulnerable film um, with the world, but also with my family. Like I always was like very quote unquote like not showing emotions with my close family, which is very ironic because I'm such an emotional person, but like I never cried in front of them. And
Hmm.
here's my film telling like everyone like oh today I feel like I can't breathe. So it felt like I really felt emotionally naked, but it was worth it once, I saw how much people related to it. It was just like, okay, this is a no-brainer. This was the right call.
Yeah, what I found then it's funny that there are a lot of things you mentioned in the film that I was thinking about the last few days, which happens a lot. My co-host knows this. It's very weird. It's like faded. But I was thinking a lot of my more comedic or things I used to post. It was things that made me laugh and it was interesting to me, and that's why I posted it. But in the last few years, I've been doing things on a much more professional level, and I'm just doing things because it's professional or it's the job, but there's really not much of a passion, and the energy behind it is just totally different. So, for you, if sometimes if you do things that are really just for you, you're really getting something out of it. It sounds kind of woo-woo, but maybe that's more meaningful than just these storyboards and the professional and maybe things are coming from the heart and that means something more than just, putting something together to, put it flashy film festivals and optics. And I guess my last question, if we have time for it, um, now you made this really more for you, but while you're editing, I'm sure at that point you knew you were going to show people the film. So, what did you hope that people would feel from it, or what type of emotions or feelings were you trying to conjure up in the audience?
I more than hoping, like I didn't really go with it with expectations, but I wanted to show a kind of like the stages of what grief can look like. And I wanted for the film to not be just about the lowest points, because I feel like sometimes grief can be so absurd and can make things extra funny. And it was really important to me to also find those moments in my audios that I had sent to my dad and include those in the film as well. Because a lot of times throughout one day, actually, not even a year, the day can feel like a roller coaster. I could say the day, like I could start the day laughing about a stupid thing, and then in the middle of the day, like I see something that reminds me of something, and I get so emotional and like cry, and then it gets again funny, and like it's a kind of a roller coaster. So I wanted when I started working as well with my composer, and even my colorist, the colors that we chose and the sounds we chose complemented that roller coaster in terms of am I feeling too emotional? Am I feeling detached? Is it kind of neutral and you can hear the surroundings? So it was that. It was just going through the roller coaster and picking up voicemails that reflect that.
All right, we're closing out the interview. So if you'd like to give our audience your socials, where to find the film, I know it's going to be at the Tribeca Film Festival and Holly Shorts during the film festival circuit. So I guess just give our audience whatever you want us to know about you or find you on social media or in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be posting all our screenings on Montaxi's Instagram, which is just Montaxi Film. That's the easiest way of finding me and the film. Yeah, and reach out if there's anything.
All right, awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to my tongue-tied interview. And now back to Mark Torres for more Came from the Radio.
Thank you.